first case resolutions is of a mid-20 female, and she'd had acne since the start of her, menstrual life, so since about 16, and had it consistently. So she'd had it for about 7 years when she came to see me, 9 years, and she had taken 3 courses of Roaccutane, and each time the Roaccutane had worked for the period in which she was taking it, but as soon as she stopped taking it, the acne returned. She'd also had tried antibiotics several times, and again, similar situation, appeased the acne while she was taking the medication, but as soon as she stopped taking the medication, the acne returned. And she was a health professional and, dealing with her own patients every day. So it was having a pretty big impact on her personally and professionally. And she also didn't really like her workplace very much and wanted to go and look for another job. But I think having acne also sort of was affecting her self-confidence in terms of applying for other jobs, etc., etc. And so what we did was the urinary hormone metabolite testing and worked out what the fundamental imbalances were. And interestingly also, though, her family history was very indicative of someone who had a hormonal imbalance. So her own parents had each had acne, but also there were issues with fertility and miscarriages on one side of her family as well that were quite prevalent on one side of the family. So that to me, sort of even before I did the urinary testing, showed me that there was something, that there's a trend in her family, so therefore something genetic that's possibly perpetuating this. And so when I did the testing, it was obvious to me that she was having a lot of issues with detoxifying estrogen, and so there was this relative estrogen progesterone imbalance, and there was slightly high testosterone but not as high as I thought it would be. And I suppose that brings me to the importance of that testing, because I think there is an assumption that all women who have acne into their adulthood, that it's always testosterone and therefore it's always some remnant of polycystic ovarian syndrome or related to that. And I don't think that that is always the case. And since having used functional testing methods a lot with all of my patients, I now realise that I cannot predict what is going to come back in those test results, that it is mostly surprising and therefore a very, very clinically useful tool. So we readdressed those imbalances. At first we used medicines, then we started to be able to, once everything was clearing up, we started to be able to use certain functional foods as well that maintained that balance. And she has been without acne for the last 4 years, and I checked with her just recently to see if she's still tracking along well, and she's doing really, really well. There hasn't been a recurrence, and that is much better than she was ever able to achieve with Roaccutane and antibiotics.